Well, good morning, everyone. I appreciate everyone joining us. My name is Alan Fugler. I am a member of the Insecto Hydrotrail development team, and I am a co-inventor of Hydrotrail. And I welcome everyone to this webinar. We're going to discuss the science of Hydrotrail, the business of Hydrotrail, how it works, how it makes bakes better, how it will enhance your business operations, how you can use it for cross-marketing, your general pest customers, and how you can save on your insurance premiums. Some of the pioneering work we've done with the very few insurance providers that service the pest management profession and the industry. I appreciate everyone joining on board. We have a goodly number of us today, and I thank you for spending your time with us. Good afternoon to those on the East Coast. Happy lunch to those in the Central Time Zone, and good morning to those in Mountain and Pacific Time, and those beyond. Appreciate you joining us. I will be respectful of your time. I am not only the host, I'm also the panelist, so I'm serving double duties here. So I don't really have anybody to supervise the questions as they come in. So what I would ask you to do is use the chat function, and I'll probably hold the questions to the end. When I get through this in about half an hour, so that we have some time to spend at the backside of the presentation to address any questions that we have. Definitely want to get to those questions and answer those as completely and thoroughly as possible. I appreciate your time again, and we will be in and out of here in a very short order. So if you can use that chat function to record your questions, I will acknowledge them toward the end of the presentation, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. This is kind of the soft launch, if you will, for Hydrotrail. This is a product that's been in development for a very long time. I have been lucky enough to have been part of this development team with Insecto as they picked up the new technology, as the partnership with Dr. Kaler and Enrico Levy has grown. This is the new and the only termite-related product they have in their portfolio. They have an innovative mosquito trap that I'm sure you've heard of, that does a really remarkable job protecting your customers' health and property from the number one purveyor of human disease, the biggest killer in human history, that of the mosquito. Hydrotrail is really kind of an innovative product in that it's not a pesticide. It doesn't kill anything, and we have declarative statements from the EPA stating just that. It is a guidance technology. It's not an attractant. An attractant secures insect behavior from afar. This is a product that is really kind of a new class of chemistry. And I'll kind of want to describe what it is as we kind of go through this. I think you'll be pretty impressed by what it does, what it doesn't do, and how it can make what our current technologies better. It's really the only really innovative, truly new innovation in termite technology in over 20 years. And I think you'll see that value as we go along. We're Science by Insecto. Termite baits are a great technology. They have their challenges, of course, just like anything else does. Liquid termiticides, if not applied to where the termites are and where they will pass, are ineffective. And we all know that. Both non-repellents and repellents suffer that same kind of limitation on the effectiveness of their technology. Baits, again, same thing. The bait systems that we have are all very good. The challenge that the bait systems have is getting the bait termites to find the bait, getting them to feed on the bait instead of or in addition to the structure. The baits are placed anywhere between 10 and 20 feet apart, depending on the label in the situation. And termites are very small, and they can stand shoulder to shoulder, thousands of them, between those centers and bypass the bait system. Most termites in true environments follow a fractal dimensioning of their foraging patterns. They'll branch off naturally 70, 80 degrees. That's customary. However, In the real world, most termites will follow directed tunneling. They're thigmotactic, just like cockroaches. They like to have something rubbing against them. They like to direct their foraging along surfaces like pipes, like cables, like root systems. And in the real world, that's what we see in the environment. You have pipe channels leading into a structure along up to perpendicular and parallel to the foundation. Um, you have driveways, concrete pours. You've got a lot of root systems that run up to the foundation. Those provide natural directed patterns for termites to forage, as opposed to the pure fractal dimensioning that they would naturally occur in unobstructed areas. Well, and most PMPs agree that termites can tunnel between stations. It's common sense, especially given how they actually forage in nature. Well, uh, what hydrogel does, it kind of overcomes that natural inclination to forage along directed pathways. We've all seen, and papers have been published, Dr. Forschler and one of his postdocs published, gosh, 25 years ago or so, the fact that, yeah, they do like to forage along these physical and chemical paths. Um, what we do, though, with hydrotrail is overcome that natural inclination. It forces termites to find and feed on stations. We have faster hits, we have more hits, we have superior control. It overcomes that chief challenge that bait systems have, which is having the termites find the bait system instead of or before finding the structure. Before, again, claims and risk can occur when you have those installations of bait systems afar apart. Do they find the bait systems eventually? Perhaps. If there aren't any more compelling directed pathways that they would take, roots, pipes, etc., into the structure. Hydrotrail provides a connecting system between those bait stations. So as they hit that bait system, pardon me, the hydrotrail, they are directed to either to go left or go right into a bait system where they will feed on the bait and you will achieve control. It's really the only proven termite directing technology for subterranean termites. It's smarter control, it's more efficient control, it's faster control, and it's demonstrable control with your bait system customers. I mentioned before, it's really the first innovation of its type in 20 years. I think that you're going to find the efficacy of the data that we're going to present this morning and how it can be used and demonstrated to your customers and how it can improve your business the same way. It's a green product. It's not an insecticide. A letter from the US EPA, which was part of a rather revolutionary program, says that we don't kill anything. We direct things. We don't attract things. We direct things. It's been proven effective against subterranean termites prevalent in the United States, against the eastern subterranean termite, all species of Reticulotermes, Formosan and Asian subterranean termites, the Coptotermes genus. They all follow the same type of chemical trails. Dodecatrinol is the naturally occurring, naturally produced trailing pheromone for termites. The main ingredient inside of hydrotrail mimics that. It is an artificial trailing pheromone in essence. It's a unique chemistry. It's biodegradable in soil. The microbial metabolites have posed no risk to the soil or the water table. It's a simple application. We're going to show you that in a few minutes. There's no digging required. It's an easy spray application. Um, Really, it's 3 to 4 gallons of 2% solution to treat the average house. The equipment you already have in your back of your truck or back at the office. It's a 4 or 5 gallon battery op sprayer, or you can actually go tank rig too if you want to drag the hose if you've got larger homes or larger commercial structures, or if you're doing frequent applications in your business model. And we've got proven efficacy up to 1 year. What it is, it's a glycol. It is a It's a simple, very common substance. Glycols are hygroscopic. They like water. They retain water molecules. In the soil, it is a gradient of additional moisture compared to the ambient moisture in the background. So termites find that moisture, they follow that moisture. It's in consumer products. It's in common consumer products. It's That's where Dr. Greg Henderson, a dear friend of mine and a fellow LSU aficionado, uh, first isolated the compound that was responsible for eliciting this behavior. But the same product, the same solvent, common solvent, is in cosmetics. It's in sunscreens. It's in eye drops in far higher concentrations, as it were, than you find in hydrotrail. It's ecologically and say sound. NIOSH created some rules for its use on the commercial and the concentration side, and EPA followed that up with rules in 2019. It's a very common substance, and it's found in food products and skincare products. Um, I think it does address a chief concern that me as an insurance professional in the industry have, and that's the high cost of lawsuits and repairs from termite damage. They're always driving insurance costs higher. Termite litigation is on the rise. Over time, you're going to find that 1 in 3 termite claims are litigated. There's normally a dispute. That normal dispute includes an accusation of negligence. You treated my house. You have my contract that says you will keep termites out of my house. Termites got in my house. Therefore, the termite, quote unquote, failed. And I'm using air quotes deliberately here. And I'm going to sue you because of it, for your negligence. That is the claim and the basis for most termite damage claims. And we're seeing over time, up to 1 in 3 are litigated. Uh, Termite damage claims are about 40% of all termite damage, pardon me, of all claims for pest control operators. And normally there's the high rate of litigation is because of those claims of negligence and the high cost of those claims. You can see the average claim costs rising over the past 10 years. Matter of fact, they've more than doubled the average claim over the past 10 years. Why? Well, because of rising building and labor cost, social inflation, if you will. You'll see a particular uptick from about 2020 all the way up to the last available data points, which is 2023. And COVID did drive a lot of that. The supply chain was severely disrupted. Unfortunately, termites didn't get that memo, so they continued their march across the economic and the homeowners' plains without any abatement. But you can see where that came from. And because of that, you can see rising costs of termite um, premiums. Now, termite, and most of us know this, but let's just belabor this point. Premiums are generated based on revenue. Smaller companies will pay smaller premiums than larger companies because they're based on revenue from those sources, from general pest and from termite. And those two premiums are rated differently. The rating base for those revenues are different. Why? Because of the different levels of exposure. General pest claims, you do have some bed bug related bodily injury claims. You may have a bed bug heat source claim that activates or deploys sprinkler systems. Those are significant, but they're rare. Whereas termite damage claims are very common. Again, 1 in 3 claims end up being litigated, and you can see the difference, the delta in the rates. The rates for general pest in the orange line relatively flat over the past 10 years. But however, rates for termite damage claims and termite premiums have risen at a significantly different delta. You can see how divergent those two lines are over the past 10 years. And again, that is driven by the cost of materials, cost of labor, and the cost of litigation. As a matter of fact, and to address this, we introduced HydroTrail to help provide additional technologies that provide additional measures of protection. And most insurance companies that service the industry are recognizing that. A&B McGinty, for instance, the CEO of Lipka Insurance, full disclosure, I have previously have been associated with Lipka professionally as their VP of marketing. Andy provided us with a was a salient and significant um, quote. General liability guidelines include a proven technology discount for certain products, and HydroTrail would be a definite contender. Now, these are aspirational as we were launching the product. So, what I would ask you to do is professionals when adopting HydroTrail is you inform your insurance provider. Your insurance carrier is normally going to be represented by an insurance agent. There are a number of those that are prominent within the business, within the industry, and I would ask you to go to your insurance professional, most of whom know about HydroTrail because I've contacted them to do introductions on that. So chances are they've heard of HydroTrail. They just want confirmation that their insureds are using HydroTrail in conjunction with their current and new treatments. Of course, we all know that attorneys know about termite damage and know about termites, and some claim to be experts, of course. A prominent attorney in Alabama is Termite Tom, as he describes himself, Campbell of the Campbell Law Firm in Birmingham, Alabama. He was featured pretty significantly in the 2024 February issue of PC's magazine. And here's what Termite Tom had to say: that homes protected by systems aren't immune to claims if termites are foraging in the ground randomly. And if you put a 1 inch stake in the ground every 20 feet and they've got a 4 foot area from the grade to 4 feet down that termites can go in a structure, chances are they're going to find a baiting system for the chance that they're going to find a baiting system before they find the house is astronomical. Now, I disagree with some of his contentions. He's not an entomologist, he's an attorney. I don't think that you're going to find termites commonly foraging 4 feet deep. That's not where termites are. However, he does make a pretty valid point in the chances of encountering a bait station if they're on 20-foot centers. That again, that concern, that chief challenge to baiting systems is addressed with HydroTrail. How do you put it out? Well, I mean, you take 80 mils, that's about 2 shot glasses, 2.5 shot glasses, if you will, of HydroTrail, and put it in a gallon of water or in a backpack sprayer or similar sprayer. Agitate that product for at least a minute. I mean, in a backpack sprayer, just take the application wand, put it in the top of the backpack, turn it on for a minute, get some proper agitation, get a good solution mix. Apply a rate of 1 gallon to 50 linear feet in a 2 to 4 inch band connecting those termite stations. Um, and if necessary, if it's in extreme drought conditions, you can apply additional water to the product to kind of push it down into the soil profile. It doesn't affect the efficacy of the product. That concentration is what you need. The additional water provides some additional gravity feed and capillary action into the soil profile so that you get it down to the bottom of the soil, and that's kind of where we are with it. That's a real faithful demonstration of how it works. You want to go ahead and connect those stations. Obstructions aren't much of an issue. You can see him walking through, connecting those stations. What you're trying to do is provide that artificial trailing pheromone between the stations so that wherever they encounter HydroTrail, they're going to go left or right and into one of those stations. Oh, skip backwards there. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, there we go. There is good demonstration of what we need. Flow Zone, Birchmeier, the product is really agnostic as to what brand you use. I would recommend a Pinstream application nozzle. Get it up to 30 or 40 PSI. The PPE required for mixing, uh, you need uh, face protection, eye protection, and gloves. There is no PPE necessary for the actual application of the diluted product at 2%. And here's where it's effective. Here's why that you want to get it onto that surface so that it percolates into the soil profile. Most termites are going to be in the foraging zone of 2 to 5 inches. There is ample University of Florida and other university studies that show that that is the prime foraging zone. Heat, moisture, food availability, and directed foraging paths are in that zone. Underneath there, deeper heat and compaction and available oxygen and just the physical difficulties of moving soil profiles with their mandibles makes foraging in deeper depths unnecessary and very uncommon. That's where you want to be in that area. Now, again, if you do have the opportunity to create paths in mulch beds, you can apply over mulch material, over wooden mulch material, over rubber material, over rock. You can do that. However, the most effective way is to apply it directly to soil. So if you do have a chance to kind of kick loose or kick a path through a mulch bed with your foot and displace that mulching material, apply to soil, and then just kick it back. That's all you need. It's very simple. No trenching, no rotting. There's actually yours truly applying hydrotrail between those monitor stations in this case. And you can see it's a very slow walk. You want to apply at that rate of 1 gallon to 50 linear feet. In this chance, I did a circle around the station, not required, but not a bad idea. And we're walking, and you'll see here that those roots that go the directly to the structure. And in this case, what you're trying to do is establish a more favorable path because termites think it's other termites, so that they go not necessarily along those roots, but into the station as a preferred path. There we go. And it doesn't attract termites. One of the kind of misperceptions and misconceptions about termite baits is that termite baits attract termites to a structure. Obviously, as professionals, we know that's not the case. But what we want to do is make sure our customers also know that. So as you're applying hydrotrail between the bait stations, you can tell your customers with great confidence that what you're doing is not attracting them to your house. You are directing them away from your house and into the stations where they need to be in order to feed on the toxicant. And we show in the laboratory that termites will not stray very far. The blue line is an application of hydrotrail between the entry arena and the food source, the only food source. Made that diagonal line, that blue line of hydrotrail, and you can see termites will follow it almost on top of it directly. And as they may meander away, but as the gradient becomes less, they want to get back to that higher gradient. So they'll go back to the application line. Again, some field trial results. Native and Formosan subterranean termites, both of them follow. Faster detection. We've got some great, compelling field data that I'll share in just a second. That hydrotrail will, after a month of treatments, starts to show significant difference in how many hits and how fast your hits are. And you, over time, up to that 9 months or so of our most recent test data, you get a 50% hit rate between 3 and 5 months after treatment. I dare say that even the best operators with the best bait system, placing those baits in the best locations with the most conducive conditions, will certainly not match that hit rate. The more hits you get, obviously, the more feeding you have. The more feeding you have, the higher, the quicker, the shorter, pardon me, time to control. Here is some field data. After 9 months, and this is actually against Formosan termites. This is in the southwestern part of Florida. One of our innovators that was an early adopter, and you will see his quotes throughout here. I think he's attending the session himself and he wants to be recognized, I certainly will honor that at the end of the session. After 9 months, you can see the blues are hits. For the treated, the oranges are the unhits. 30% untreated, 70% treated. So yeah, in Formosan country with a high population density, you're going to have random hits of untreateds. That's correct. But look at the statistically significant difference between the treated stations and the untreated stations over time. You see 14 hits versus 6 hits in those 10 buildings. It is a statistically and scientifically significant difference between those hits. Here's time to treat it. Um, this is in Northwest Florida against native subterranean termites, particular termes. I want to say flavipes, but I could be mistaken. You can see 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. 1 month, uh, 0 hits on the untreateds. 2 months, 2 hits versus 6. 3 months, 10 hits versus 4. So more than twice as many were hit with Hydrotrail, the Hydrotrail treated product, stations rather, than the untreated stations. It's part of a greener treatment strategy. You've got grams, baits present a greener strategy compliant with the EPA's reduced risk initiative. It's grams of pesticide in the environment versus gallons of pesticide in the environment. Again, that's not a knock on liquid termiticides. They work. But if your customer prefers that greener treatment, this complies with that desire and with the EPA's reduced risk initiative. Um, there's obviously with grams versus gallons, you've got less contamination risk. That customer that wants a solution, this is the way they can do that. They can achieve that. And you can also make that greener solution the faster solution, the more complete solution, the faster time to control solution. You also avoid any kind of damage claims from trenching and drilling. Let's face it, you hit a pipe, you drill into somebody's tile that they're unhappy about. Well, I mean, that stuff happens. And I think Hydrotrail with baits avoids that in that treatment circumstance. And of course, it's safe for technicians too. You don't have those exposure issues, and there's no workers' comp exposure issues. There's far fewer hazards. Here's how you can integrate it into your services. You can identify with monitor stations. You can locate areas of termite activity. You can make, obviously, your prevention by connecting those stations for new installs with no termite activity. And you can make it an effective treatment for those that have an ongoing infestation. You can direct those termites by intercepting those foraging tubes that go into the structure with the Hydrotrail and push them away from the structure and into the stations. Monitoring is just a way of cross-marketing. You've got a GHP, General Household Pest customer, and you want to make them a termite customer. In most states, you can install a monitoring system. Some bait systems have a monitoring element as well, and you can connect those stations with Hydrotrail, and you can convert by demonstrating that they have termites, those customers into a paying, cross-utilized, cross-marketed, multi-line of service customer that is going to be far more reluctant to move all of their coverages from you. You can prevent infestations by protecting the customers by connecting those stations. Many new home construction customers, most tract builders they don't want to have the hassle of scheduling what used to be called flat work with pre-treatment treatments in the soil. Now they want to go to customers with treatments with bait stations because it's not disruptive to the construction industry. You can put those stations out, you can connect them with Hydrotrail, you can demonstrate to your customer that you are doing something to the builder, and you can convert at a higher rate those customers that when the customer, excuse me, when the homeowner buys that structure, that buys that home, you can have a better chance of converting that customer to a termite customer and sell them GHP while you're at it. And of course, again, you make those treatments more effective. You get more hits, you get faster hits, you get more bait feeding, you get better control and faster control. Again, it's easy. You agitate it for a minute. You have 2 to 3 treatments per bottle. It takes you 3 to 4 minutes to apply once mixed. It takes, as long as it takes to do a slow walk around the structure, you're done treating. And you've got about 4 gallons of mixed product per average home. And when I say average home, I mean 175 to 200 linear feet. That's about it. That's what most tract homes are nowadays. Of course, you can profit with it too. You can improve your customer retention. If you've got termite control with a customer and general pest, if you cross market it that way, you're going to retain that customer. In the Southeast and most states, Florida being a notable exception, you cannot take over a customer, a termite control contract from a previous applicator. You have to go in there and do an additional treatment. That helps to kind of cement the relationship between you and that customer. You can generate new leads that way. It's a low cost and a high return. It's a green approach. Marketing and commercial advantages. You now offer the gold standard for termite control protection. You're providing that premium service. Many of our customers, our early innovators, are just rolling the cost into renewal pricing because it's not that expensive. You can reduce time for retreating callbacks. You have a lower claims risk. And again, the about 5 leading providers of general liability insurance in the industry, they're all aware of a Hydro Trail. And to varying degrees, they're all willing to look at the reduced risk generating a lower premium. We're getting a lot of attraction here, guys. I know we're coming up on our half hour and we're almost finished. Um, PMPs are taking notice. This was the June issue of PCT Magazine. That is a 5-page article on the evolution, the history of this product. We have quotes from industry professionals, from our early adopters, who we call innovators, because they see this new class of business, this new class of product as being integral into providing a complete service and protection package for their customers. And gosh, of course, we all know what happened with Mr. Paul here recently. Paul Hardy, dear friend of mine, a dear friend of many in the industry, a game changer for a lot of folks. Paul and I worked on this concept before his retirement, and he continued to be a stalwart supporter. I spoke with Mr. Paul most as recently as March of this year, and I was hoping to see him. And unfortunately, the good Lord had other plans for Mr. Paul. He needed an angel and was called home. But Paul was definitely one of my biggest supporters, and I will always be ever in his debt. Claude Thomas, a revolutionary, legendary trainer and inventor, a holder of many patents. Dr. Claude is excited to see this. He and Jeff McGowan, if I can quote Jeff, I think he's on the program today. Did some work for us. We captured that video, and it's available on the Insecto YouTube channel. And of course, Steve Kite, Mr. Ace, he's our ace. Fort Myers Pest Control. He provided some of the legwork in the heat of Florida summers to help us prove that the Hydro Trail was efficacious against Formosan termites. And we are forever in Steve's debt and Dr. Claude's debt and Paul's legendary contributions of science to the industry. And that's it, guys. I really appreciate it. I am going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to go to the chat to see if we have any questions here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We are 35 minutes from program beginning, and I see Chris, did you have a question that you wanted to ask? If you can put it in that webinar chat, that would be delightful. I can address it personally. If you can just type it in there, Chris, that would be great. Oh, here we go. Maybe that's, oh, here we go. Sorry me. Um, is it readily available? Jonathan, thank you for that question. Yes, it is available through Viserys currently, and soon to be Target. I'm not quite sure of the launch date for the Target availability, but certainly through Viserys and soon to be Target. I would encourage you to to contact both or either of those if you're customers of theirs. Thank you for the question. Are there any issues with flooding rains that make it less effective? We're in Mobile, Alabama, where it rains 3 to 4 feet of water in a short amount of time. Gail, thank you for that question. Um, just like anything else, if there is a flooding rain and you have soil that's been displaced, translocated, then I would say, yeah, definitely go and make another application. There is no EPA label. It's not regulated by the state. It's not regulated by FIFRA. So you can apply it when and where and how much you want. And if you do have that suspicion of translocation, I would definitely go and make another application, just like you would a liquid application or a bait application that was submerged over time and the bait quality was compromised. I would definitely do that as well. A great question. Thank you. Western Subs, has it been tested? Washington State. Kevin, thank you for that. No, it hasn't. Doesn't say that it won't be. I'm relocated to Santa Fe, New Mexico, so I'm west of the Continental Divide. It's a great idea. We are looking into it, but I don't have any data. In total transparency, I have no data to substantiate efficacy against that species, that genus. Uh, yeah, am I saying, is it applied literally between stations? Yes, correct. It is a line between stations. We toyed with the idea of a colorant, like you would use for a non-selective herbicide, um, yeah, just to show customers that where it was. That's really the call. That you can add a food coloring, you can add a L&O dye if you wanted to. If a customer wanted to see that application, I would caution you that you want to make your lines pretty if you're going to put down a color marker on it, but and it doesn't affect the efficacy of the product at all. But yes, you literally walk between the lines and apply it in a straight line. If the product clogs, yeah, it's 2 gallon. Yeah, we haven't had any reports of clogging in any backpack sprayer brand. We've used the two leading commercially available brands that are in the industry. No reports of clogging. It's a solvent. So you're not going to find coagulation on anything unless you have any other kind of particulates in the in the equipment that would cause clogging. But the product itself, no, there's been no reports of that. Um, Bait systems. I'd rather be a little coy on that one to work with our innovators. But I tell you, the concept of hydrotrail is completely agnostic. It doesn't matter what it is. You can use a monitor station, any of the commercially availables. You could use any of the bait systems. There is there's no prohibition against using hydrotrail on the labels of any of the four registered bait systems in the U.S. Do you have to have a dedicated sprayer? I would say optimally, yes, I would do that. Unless you can clean it out, triple rinse and clean it out to the point where you don't have any residual, noticeable or measurable residual activity on the sprayer. I would defer to you. Ideally, I prefer to have a previously unused sprayer on that. But you can certainly, if you can achieve the cleanliness in that sprayer by triple or quadruple rinsing it, I wouldn't see it would be a problem. Cost per bottle, that depends on where you buy it from. I think the retail on it has been $38 or somewhere 38, $40 retail with the distributors. Soil factor, not really. The only thing that I would say, Aaron, thank you for the call for the question. Clay is going to be less permeable, obviously, than sandy soil or sandy loam soil, and it may take you a little bit longer to achieve the penetration in the soil profile. Most lawns that are are sodded have soil replacement anyway. You know, you're going to get a thatch buildup, so you're going to have 4 to 6 inches of soil fairly quickly as that soil sod matures. But all I would say is just, man, take your time. If you've got heavy clay soils, you may see some ponding on the product on the surface. Just wait for it to subside, to absorb, and then go back in and do it again. Um, Jeff, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Jeff McGowan, thank you. Jeff has been a great supporter of us, innovator, a man of renown that brings great new technologies to the industry. And thank you, my friend. Um, what happens if you use it on a lawn and irrigate twice a week? Actually, nothing. If you use it on a lawn and you're irrigating that soil twice a week, if you've got sprinklers set, let's say, what you're the only thing that additional water is going to do is push that soil, the product into deeper into the soil profile, and that's a good thing. You want the weight of the water, gravity feed, and the capillary action between the soil product particles itself, the Brownian motion, if you will, to push the water molecules carrying the hydrotrail down into the soil. Let's see. Active ingredient is 2-phenoxyethanol. It's a common solvent. It's in sunscreens and eye drops and Bic pen ink. One of the old parlor tricks in the industry was to draw a circle with a big, with a ballpoint pen and drop a termite on it. Well, and it would follow that line. Well, until the late 90s, no one really knew why. Greg Henderson, retired entomologist, professor emeritus at LSU, and a dear friend of mine, isolated the compound responsible for eliciting this trailing pheromone response. So we're forever in debt to Greg's pioneering work as well. Yeah, Kevin, you're in the webinar chat, so I appreciate you're using that option for us. Um, Regulation use, Ritam, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct, Ritam. Could you tell us a bit about regulation around using it at industrial sites? There really isn't any regulation. There is no FIFRA label. There's no state approval registration for this product. It's not a pesticide. It's not a 25B pesticide. It's not a Section 3 label. It is a new class of product where it's not an attractant. They do regulate attractants, and this ain't that either. It's not, it's a product that directs termites on the soil when they find it. So there really isn't any. If you wanted to go to a plant, if you've got a bait system, let's say around an industrial site, you can apply it to the soil between those bait stations. Hopefully that answers your question, Ratan. Guillermo, have you tested in tropics, especially against Nasutotermes? No, we haven't, Guillermo. And the reason for that is that the conehead termite, as we called it in Davie, Florida, they are ground foragers. They're surface foragers. This product, by intent, is subterranean. You want it in the soil profile, where it's probably not available to Nasutotermes. Could we apply it on an above ground bait station? Sure, we could. But that's great food for thought. The pest control industry are full of innovators, and I would encourage you to take a look at that application. Thank you, Guillermo. Is it wise to mix it with the termiticide? Um, the I don't. In terms of efficacy on the termiticide, I don't think it would have an effect on the efficacy of termiticides. However, what I would say is there may be a public perception issue if you do that, where again, if the public is perceiving that you're attracting termites to their structure, putting that product adjacent to the foundation could present a public perception issue. It certainly would encourage termites into a treatment zone. Let's say you could actually draw a line of a hydro trail into a treatment zone. Sure. But if that's the case, you literally are directing termites to the structure and not away from the structure. So there may be a public, not an efficacy issue. There could be just a perception issue. Uh, Cross-contamination by pesticides with equipment. If you're using a repellent termiticide, absolutely. I wouldn't use the same application equipment for repellent termiticides or any um, a product that had the potential to be repellent. I wouldn't use the same product. So yeah, I would say there's a concern about cross-contamination with that class of chemistry. Pre-application for preventative measures, we have great data over 9 months, edging on a year. I would say make an application at least once. I would say around the at least by the if for an existing bait installation, at least around the swarm season. That way you work through the swarm season and the active seasons, depending on where you are and how long in your summers are and how seasonal your business is. Um, you can also make a second application if you wanted to. Many operators in heavy formosan areas are going to a semi-annual or twice a year service regimen. And if you're going out and checking stations because of the likelihood of significant bait consumptions, there's nothing wrong with making a second application at that point. How many houses will a bottle treat? Good question. Depends on the linear footage. 100 bottles, pardon me, 50 linear feet per gallon. It's, a 1 liter bottle. So anywhere between 2 to 3 houses per a bottle is the average, depending on the size, the linear footage of that house. That's a great question too. Certain species, reticular termes, Coptotermes, well proven. We've got great data on both of those genera. Water hardening effect, you're talking about with calcium perhaps and iron. We have seen absolutely no effect, no difference in efficacy based on the mineral loading of that water. Does it need a surfactant? No, absolutely not. Adjuvant? No, absolutely not. 8 ounce, uh, 80 mils per gallon, and that's it, straight in the water. And tap water is fine. You don't really have to worry about that. Uh, it seems that irrigation helps the product. Scott, you're absolutely right. And Scott, thank you again for that great question, Mr. Innovator. It seems that it helps. Thank you. I'm assuming you're making this observation from your own experience with the product. Yeah, the more water you can get on the product to push it down into the soil profile, the better off everybody is. How does it kill termites? It doesn't. Doesn't kill termites. John, thank you for the question. And that's a great clarifier. Again, it's not a pesticide, doesn't kill anything. All it does is make termites go where you want them to go and not go where you don't want them to go. Guillermo, thank you too. Yeah, and Dr. Kaler, another co-inventor of hydrogel with me, thank you for that observation. Make sure that you agitate the product. You want to make sure that it's in complete solution. That will avoid any hint of phytotoxicity or damage to plants, plant materials. You want to make sure that you get at least a good 1 minute of proper agitation. If you're using that 4 or 5 gallon backpack sprayer, take that application hose, lock it on, stick it in the tank, set your watch for a minute and get that full minute of agitation to make sure you get hopefully close to a full exchange of a product inside of the application equipment reservoir. Thank you, Dr. Kaler. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining us too. Um, I don't see any other questions on here. Keep it open for just a couple of minutes to see if there's anything else that we need to cover. These were all fantastic questions, guys. We really appreciate your participation in this. Um, Mr. Mehta, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. Can you please go into the webinar chat and ask the question? That'd be terrific. Okay, well, that's it. I guess again, thank you for staying with us for almost an entire hour, well beyond our scheduled programming. So we want to thank everyone for attending. Again, my name is Alan Fugler. I am part of the Hydrotrail development team. I am a co-inventor along with Dr. Phil Kaler and Enrico Levy, the CEO of Insecto. We appreciate your time today and your great questions. Hopefully, we provided some additional food for thought for your businesses and your termite treatment strategies. We look forward to seeing everyone at the upcoming Pest World exhibit hall. Please look for us at booth 300. We'll have some great discussions, answer some more questions, and hopefully provide some good stuff for you. Appreciate it very much. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe, everyone.